Packer Nation, and welcome to another edition of the Absolute Packer Podcast. We're on number 55. The first game of the season took place, and I'm sure it went exactly how everybody thought. High-scoring affair. Cough, cough, not really. I'm going to title this, it's an evergreen name. The Bears still suck, so,
I was actually thinking about that.
Not good enough, or?
No, but I mean, we got to be careful not to use it again.
I see.
I mean, because
the Bears still suck.
Are they going to stop sucking
again? Really,
yeah.
The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck again.
Yeah. So you have to be a little creative with your phrasing in the future.
That is kind of the easy go-to. That's the so it seems to work. So I am Andrew Hetzel, and I will introduce my other cohorts as well. We've got Jeremy Hautala.
What's up, boys?
And Elliot Christensen. What's up, guys?
Great.
All righty.
Pumped off a win. Take it out, Vikings.
So I'm sure that game went exactly as everybody planned, where it was, a high-scoring affair, points all over the place, and two quarterbacks that everybody in the early, in the off season was predicting both of them could potentially be MVPs, and in reality, we saw none of that. The Bears were hyped up big time this offseason. A lot of people were hyping up Trubisky for whatever reason. That's goofy. I don't know. He doesn't do much for me at all, to be honest with you. But we can talk about that specifically later.
Well, before we go on, I just want to congratulate Elliot because he's the only one of us three who actually predicted the Packers to beat the Bears. So congratulations.
I'll eat crow on that. Good job, buddy.
No doubt. No doubt.
Hey, I don't know that I'm going to be quite as optimistic this week, though. So we could talk about that, though.
Let's go there.
Yeah. I mean, I think I had predicted 21-17 of that nature, and it was probably going to be the Bears, and it was on the road, tough opponent. I mean, I knew that the Bears, their defense lived up to what we thought it was going to be. Their front seven is ridiculously good. My goodness, they probably have the best front seven in the league when you think about it. But let's get right into it. The Packers defense came out swarming all sides of the ball. All sides of the ball. I mean, every position front, if you will. The defensive line looked great. Kenny Clark is a damn beast. I mean, the guy, there was one play, I'm sure you guys saw, where he basically took the handoff from the quarterback. He was back there. He just turned the center. He just went around him like he wasn't even there. That was crazy good. Inside linebacker, I think is still somewhat questionable, but Martinez played great. He had an open look at the quarterback on a sack and nailed him. Held up well in the run game. Safety play. We have not seen safety play like that since Nick Collins and I guess Morgan Burnett have been back. Well, not even Morgan. Would have been Morgan Burnett. Let's just say Nick Collins. The days of Nick Collins, which, Nick Collins in my book, he's one of my all-time favorite Packers, regardless of era. So Amos looked fantastic. Savage is fast as, like I said, I'm just not used to the speed that I saw and running to the ball. And Zadarius Smith, the Smiths, as they're calling them, and Preston Smith. Zadarius Smith, I think I read somewhere, he had 10 pressures in that game. 10 pressures! Can you believe that?
Pressure won the game.
Yeah, and we were getting pressure without blitzing, which, again, is new. I had to rub my eyes a few times to make sure I wasn't being deceived. But, I'll defer to you guys. What did you think about that defense? My God.
The defense was phenomenal. I didn't predict that they were going to be as good as advertised, I guess, but they had to go out there and prove it. I did go back and watch the game a second time, and I watched it in the coach's view on my NFL Pass.
22?
Yeah, and the one player that I knew had a good game, but I completely overlooked on many plays was Preston Smith. The dude had a whale of a game. He was my MVP.
Really?
He obviously had that sack on fourth down to end the game.
Wait. I hate to interrupt you, but he did look great. But you know who probably was the MVP of this game? J.K. Scott.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, we'll get to him in a little bit. Go ahead.
No, yeah. That's a great read.
The friggin' punter. My God, he was out of his mind. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Preston Smith also on that Trubisky wheel route to Cohen at the end of the game also got a piece of Trubisky. I should say Preston Smith got a piece of Trubisky that because if Trubisky would have thrown the pass, I think, where he wanted to, which is over his shoulder, it would have been a tie game. So that was a huge play by Preston Smith. He forced fourth down on many run, read, and react plays. He was effective as hell against the run. I mean, they were doing a lot of RPOs, and he was knocking it down on a consistent basis. He also forced a hold by Kyle Long, a hands to the face by their left tackle. I'm blanking out. Charles Leno, excuse me. Jay Leno.
Hey guys, it's the Bears we got here going on.
My God.
It's a thought.
Jay Leno. We'll just call him that.
There you go.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, the guy had a whale of a game. He had a sack and a half. Like you said, I think Zadarius Smith had 10 pressures, and I would venture to say that Preston Smith had close to that as well.
Really?
Oh yeah, he was all over the ball. He was, to me, my MVP of the game, even more so than Zadarius Smith was, or even Kenny Clark. The thing that, I mean, you touched on it, the offense, very rusty, very unpolished, 13 drives, 13 first downs, 213 yards of total offense. That's just not going to cut it.
They got outgained by the Bears.
They did, 254 to 213, I think it was. So, but we have a defense now that can actually win a game, and that's truly what won the game. If it wasn't for the defense holding up and making tremendous stops, Adrian Amos's INT with 2 minutes to go. And man, it's just so good to say the Packers have a defense. It truly is. From top to bottom, they looked really good, and I hope they just continue it. And they're going to get a test this weekend. They're going to get a physical, run-heavy Minnesota team that wants to run the ball. So we're going to be tested there. The Bears, I think they were the ones that were supposed to be the run-heavy team. They did not feature that at all. I don't know if it was just, the game flow or whatever, but
it looked like they wanted to unleash Trubisky. They're like, hey, we're going to bring out our MVP candidate. That guy.
I'm sorry. He's in his third year now, and he is just not as advanced as I think everybody wants.
He's not accurate.
No. And how many
cannot throw to his left. He can't throw to his left, period. It's brutal watching that.
That play that Kevin Kane should have intercepted.
Yep.
That receiver was wide open if he would have thrown it over his shoulder. It was a touchdown.
Yeah.
It was easy if he would have actually seen the play read, because there was no defenders on that side of the ball besides Kevin Kane.
Oh, there's no safety behind him?
No safety help, no linebacker underneath. He was man up against Kevin Kane, and if he would have thrown it over his shoulder, it would have been It should have been a touchdown. So Trubisky, the skills are there, but his ability to, I guess, read the defense and
that would have been throwing to the left on that.
That
going that way on that side of the field. It was another throw to his left. He can't do that.
Nope. He had multiple throws that game that he should have made and he didn't make.
Yeah.
So he's just not. He's probably the fourth best quarterback in the
division. Yeah.
Our team. So.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, remember the Bears traded up to get him, and they passed on. I think it was Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Sad trombone, but I'll take it. Good Lord. Yeah. So, okay. Jeremy, you had a great recap. I put that in the notes here. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to pull directly from that, but we can maybe go back to that as needed. Packers offense. So yeah, let's touch on that. I think they started out first 3 drives were negative 17 yards. So unless you're playing golf, that's not good statistics at all.
No.
And to quote Aaron Nagler, who posted this on Twitter, I think it was after the 3rd drive, he said, it's as if McCarthy never left. And basically what that means was the whole offense looked like, Rodgers he wasn't trusting protection. He was running the clock way down. He was holding on to the ball too long, trying to play hero ball, all this nonsense. So, I would venture to say that game, for lack of a better term, was the 5th preseason game for the Packers on that side of the ball. And it was, to be brutally honest, the offensive line did not have a very good night. Which Bhaktiari struggled a little bit in the second half. He looked really good, but he gave up a few pressures, which again for Bhaktiari is an all-pro left tackle. It was weird to see. Now again, Bears might have the best defensive front in the league, so take that for what it's worth.
Right.
But even the other. I mean, Layne Taylor, he's on watch. I'm telling you, he got run over 3 or 4 times just like he wasn't even there. He's Elkin Jenkins.
Yeah.
If he struggles in the Viking game early, he might get benched. Right now, I think they could use him as depth, but Billy Turner, I mean, he's a new guard. He didn't play all that well. Brian Bulaga was the best guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he gave up any pressures to
He
Khalil
did.
Mack.
He gave up.
I don't think he
less
gave
than
up
a handful.
Okay, but maybe I think he pitched a shutout to Khalil Mack, which
he didn't give up any sacks, but that's the most
I heard
important
he didn't
thing.
give up any pressures, but I could be wrong.
No, that's
erroneous. Okay, fake news.
Yeah.
But yeah, even I mean the line, and I think some of that's got to be because they haven't played together.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers had not played any meaningful football with his starting offensive line. And so that's kind of what you get, I guess. But yeah, that offense in the beginning was really brutal.
I just to kind of
go ahead,
touch on one point. I think the offensive line, you can kind of relate it to a starting 5 in basketball. If they don't work well, or they don't have a lot of practice together, and you see them out there in offense, and their offense is so out of sync, and there's no cohesion, the offensive line is the same thing.
I agree.
And I think that's what we saw.
They got to work in concert.
No
right. Doubt.
Everybody has to know, hey, you're going to take care of him. You're going to take care of him. And if, they don't all think on the same level, you're going to have mistakes, and you're going to have guys that are slipping blocks or, just bulldozing over Layne Taylor. So,
yeah, I agree.
It happens.
Now, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, I made a note here that here's what it says. Aaron Rodgers looked pretty darn average for most of the game. And this is the thing. His mechanics and footwork are really suspect for whatever reason. I mean, he's throwing off his back foot. He's chucking it all arm. He's not stepping into things. There's no rhythm. That's kind of goes back to that. I mean, he looked a lot like last year. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened to his mechanics. I really don't, because he used to be the archetype of mechanics, great footwork, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I got to think that, he's lost a little zip on his ball due to injuries, due to age, due to everything. Although I will say this, they showed from the all-22 angle and an opposite angle that long throw he had to MVS for that long gain. I think it was in the first drive of the second quarter, something like that.
Yep.
If you watch that, I think I showed it to you guys. It's crazy. So he's moving left, looking left the whole way, and then he plants left as if he's going to throw, but then he does essentially what amounted to a no-look pass, a long pass that had to be all arm because of the way he was moving the defense with his eyes to MVS. And when you watch that in replay, if that indeed was what he was doing, and it kind of looked that way, that was crazy. That was really, really cool. But that ball, if it was all arm the way it looked like that, I mean, it came up a little short. It didn't hit him in stride. He had to kind of come back for it. But from a different angle, it looked a little different. And then, I will say that obviously, the touchdown to Jimmy Graham was great. But look, nobody was really talking about it. There's 12 men on the field. That was a free play. Yeah, he threw it up to his guy and he went and made a play. But the only reason he made that throw was because he knew he had a free play. It wasn't all about this big trust factor to Jimmy Graham and any of that stuff. He knew he had a free play.
Where was the 12th guy in the play, though? Because Jimmy Graham was one up against whoever and beat him.
I don't know, but there was 12 men on the field.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So that was why he made that throw. Now, again, maybe based on that, we'll see that more, whatever. But, I mean, the difference in that game was a touchdown, and that drive went really well. But I don't know. So with Rodgers, he's still going to need more time, obviously, and his mechanics, they got to get better. They got to get more rhythm. But, again, take all this with a grain of salt because the Bears defense is freaking sick, too. I mean, the Packers outplayed them, which is crazy. But the Bears have a great defense. You look at linebacker, night and day. Their linebackers are just shot at. They're like laser beams out there. When you watch, was it Roquan Smith?
Your boy Roquan Smith was in the backfield all night.
God, that's night and day. It's impressive. Night. So, we talked a little about the offense. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Oh yeah. I was going to talk about the arm.
Go ahead.
Rodgers. Yeah. I think I've touched on this a few times before. Obviously, the mechanics, like you said,
it's
I don't know where they went.
more than anything.
It's the footwork, but honestly, after going back and watching the game a second time, if you watch that pass when Davante Adams went out of the game injured and Trevor Davis came in and caught that 26-yard reception, he stepped into the ball right into the receiver. Like he had proper
that wasn't
mechanics.
a very hard thrown ball.
He had proper mechanics. He had everything going for him, and he short threw it. Trevor Davis had to go to the ground to get the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I could probably think from that though was I think he kind of rushed the throw a little bit, and didn't follow through completely, and that's why.
So what you're saying, I think I know what you're saying. Aaron Rodgers was shocked that somebody outside of Davante Adams was wide open.
I will say it since you announced it, but
could have been.
Yeah, but there were a few throws during that game that, there was a play to Mercedes Lewis or MVS on third down. Threw it at his feet.
Oh God, yeah. He was and he bounced it off Jimmy Graham's foot that it was almost an interception.
Yeah. But I will reserve judgment on that because I have to give him time to get back into game action.
I'll give him 4 games, is what I said.
But so I'm questioning his arm. I'm questioning his arm, whether that collarbone injury that he had 2 years ago is truly gonna allow him to throw the ball that he used to throw. I just don't know if that's possible, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's ever going to have the arm strength he had when he was 25, let's say. But he takes impeccable care of his body, even though he's been injured. The bigger thing, like I said, are these mechanics and just not being in rhythm. When was the last time the guy did a 3-step drop fire? I mean, even when they blitz, I think it was Ben Fennell that was showing on Twitter. He does great breakdown. He was showing a breakdown of a blitz where, I mean, it was just your hot read was Graham, and he was open on a little 5-yard route, and he didn't hit it.
Right.
Because it looked like even on a blitz, he wanted to play a home run ball. It was freaking a death sentence to blitz Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And now it looks like they welcome it, which is just crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, let's hope that we see something different there. I don't know. All right. Aaron Jones was kept in check all night. I think he had 30 yards the whole game or something. Now, again, I attribute that more to, the offensive line not playing together with the starting offense very much, and that frickin' front. My goodness. Yeah. But I was a little surprised they didn't get him involved in the passing game more, and I thought they would kind of unleash him that way, but they didn't. So again, I got to think that a few drives in, you get the feeling LaFleur was like, all right, I see what's going to happen. We're going to have to keep it real simple here, but who knows? So hopefully we'll see Aaron Jones and the offensive line and all that, gel a little more. Okay, so Davante Adams, he had a pretty quiet game, and I think a lot of that was he was the only guy who was going to get open and get separation. And at that time, did you see that one time where it was incomplete to the left sideline, and you could see Davante Adams? He was triple covered, which, I mean, double coverage you see, triple coverage pretty rare in the NFL. But that also tells you that he's the only guy that they're scared of, and they can throw 3 guys at him. Somebody else got to get open. And from what I can see, from what I can see, either, the offense still has to click, but nobody else getting open.
Yeah, that's a nice thing with the NFL pass is you watch the line of scrimmage and then you watch the back end or the secondary view of the game. And I watched a lot of the receivers, and a lot of the receivers were covered. There wasn't a lot of open, wide open guys, except for the few that you mentioned before with Jimmy Graham and Aaron Rodgers not seeing him and such. But for the most part, the receivers were covered all game. So
there's a huge look. I think it's not. It's pretty fair to say Davante Adams is obviously he's their number 1, 1A, 1B, 1C, and then the number 2 is a big drop off in talent, speed, whatever. It just is what it is. I mean, they got who is their number 2? Is it Geronimo Allison? And he's a slot guy. He had 0 catches, 0 targets, 0 yards. I mean,
he didn't play a lot though either. I don't know if that was designed or because MVS was out there for the majority of the plays. I saw the
and MVS is faster than him. That's got to be why they had him. He's faster.
Yeah, I saw the play chart of all of the players on the team and how many snaps they played, and MVS was almost doubled his snap count. So I don't know if that was by design.
And I think he left early. I thought he was injured. I think he left. He had like cramps or something, and they had to get him hydration or something. So he's fine. But I mean, look, they're going to need a big season from him. Period. End of story. MVS, that is. Because if you have Adams and MVS to worry about, that changes everything, in my opinion. That opens up play action. I mean, I don't know what's
the run game.
No doubt. So the offense going to be a work in progress. But again, keep going back to that Chicago defense is no joke. That front seven is ridiculous. So back to our defense. Zadarius Smith, I mean, if that's the early returns, that was money well spent. That's all I can say. That guy, it had been so long since I had seen the Packers get pressure without blitzing. And they were getting it all over the place. Now, I don't know a whole lot about the Bears' offensive line. Like, are they average? Are they below average or above? I don't know.
They're probably a top 12 offensive line in the league.
I mean, we'll say they're average to above.
They're above average. Average.
Okay.
That's a fair assessment.
So that's good. Now, again, it's first game of the season. There might be some unscouted looks and stuff like that. So we'll take that into consideration. But I think he had 10 pressures. And I saw this stat. I think I showed it to you guys. And it was Nick Perry had 13 pressures all last year. Zadarius Smith had 10 in one game.
Yep.
Wow. I mean,
finally a free agent that actually does something.
That is a stat right there that tells you where the defense has gone quickly, in a good way. So, yeah, and I mean, Pettin's got to be loving that. And
yeah, I mean, you think about it, they went out and, like I said, they spent big in free agency and they got huge returns in their very first game. All three players, except for Turner, I think he had a very average game, but all three players on the defensive side were instrumental in that defense, obviously winning the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't know what else to really say about Zadarius Smith, but he looked great. I mean, Preston Smith, to your point, looked great. I didn't watch him as finitely as you did, but it sounds like he had a great great game too.
Game.
So I mentioned the safety play, but man, Darnell Savage looks like the real deal. I mean, speed, football acumen, the whole deal. And him with Amos is. Who was our safeties last year were Kentrell Bryce and Kaha Clinton Dix. Now Haha had a play. He punched that ball out on Aaron Rodgers. He was the guy who did that when Rodgers turned the ball or almost turned the ball over, I think, later in the game. But still, was it great to see Amos make the game-ending play on that interception at the end.
Sweet.
Yeah, wasn't that something? But so the back end looks great. I mean, Jair Alexander looked great. The only guy who was kind of getting picked on, I think, was I can't remember
Tony Brown.
Tony Brown. He got picked on a little bit, but not crazy. I think he had gave up 4 or 5 completions for 50 yards, which isn't great. But if he's your quote weakest link, I don't want to. I guess I could live with that. So defense top to bottom looked great.
And special teams too, like you said. J.K. Scott had a great game. Their coverage had a very good game against one of the better return guys in the league, but Tariq Cohen.
Buddy boy. I might have to get a J.K. Scott jersey. No, it won't come to the and
and Elliott will get a Mason Crosby.
Yeah, I'll get no, I refuse to get a even if we brought back Ray Guy or something, there's a name for you.
There you go.
I'm not going to get a kicker jersey, no. But on all seriousness, J.K. Scott was a huge asset for us. Field tilter. He had a 63-yard punt. I mean, the coverage they had on who is that returner they got? That is
Tariq Cohen, one of the league's best.
And they kept him in check completely. So, I mean, two sides of the ball were like night and day. Special teams and defense looked like. I mean, night and day. Offense looked a lot the same, but
right. But when you think about it, I mean, both teams had 13 drives in the game, and J.K. Scott pinned the Bears on 5 punts inside the 20. That's great. That's a huge barometer and a huge difference in this team. How many years been waiting for something like this, where the special teams can pin the team back and our defense can hold them.
You can consider them a weapon. The special teams as a whole, not just the punter, but also flip field position. So
right.
That was great. I think he had, how many punts did he have? 9?
9. Yeah, for a 48-yard average. 5 inside the 20. I think Cohen had 4 punt returns for 32 yards. So
yeah, which for him is diddly poo.
Right.
Okay, and then I have one bullet here. Crosby made a field goal. Yay! I don't know what to say. I mean, yay. So that's about what I got. Unless
did his job. He did his job.
There you go. Highest cap number league. Oh, okay. For any kicker. But all kidding aside. Speaking of field goals, so the Bears have had issues with kickers left and right or whatever. Double doink guy last year they got rid of. So this guy made a field goal and the whole damn stadium clapped and cheered. I'm like, that is so Bears.
And the funny thing is when you watch the team and the sideline when that field goal went through, it was like they won the Super Bowl. I mean, it was ridiculous. The offensive linemen are like, yes, we made a field goal. And it was like, dude, you just made a field goal. That's it. So that's how desperate it is in Chicago. When you lose your season on a field goal double doink and then you make one, how the turn of events is, it's night and day, the difference between losing the game and now actually just kicking a field goal to make it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I hear you.
And we have never witnessed that here for a long time. We have to take credit that Crosby has been pretty damn good.
Yep, I hear you. Okay, so I have a bullet here. I'm going to title it, quote unquote, other stuff. All right, let's just get to it. So Mitch Trubisky, he stinks. He can't throw to the left to save his life. Overall accuracy is extremely suspect. I really don't think we're going to have to worry about this guy. Should he prove me wrong? Whatever, I'll eat crow. But from right now, he laid a huge egg, on a national stage, all hyped up, went 12-4, won the division. So I don't know what else there is to say. I don't really fear Trubisky.
Not at all. Like I said, he's the 4th best QB in the North. So
yeah. If they beat us the next time around, it isn't going to be because of him.
No,
this is true. It's going to be their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is on Aaron Rodgers. Now, I made the comment that the offense kind of looked similar to McCarthy in certain aspects when he was here, but this one, and I want to get your take on this particularly, Jeremy. Why does Aaron Rodgers continue to run the play clock to 0 before he snaps the ball? It's killing the rhythm of the offense and gives an unnecessary advantage to defenses. He's constantly running it down to 1 or 0, and he knows better.
Is he still desperate for those, offsides calls?
Maybe.
Is it part of that?
And
he says it's because he wants to read the defense all the way down to the end. But what he's doing, he's letting them pin back their ears. They're like, we know you got to snap the ball. We're just going to come after your ass.
Well, I mean, if you had confidence in your offense at this point, why do you need to look over the defense to see if you can beat them? I mean,
that's a fair point.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, he knows that he doesn't have the best wide receiving core in the league. In fact, he probably has a bottom third, say for Devontae. It just does. But still, for a guy who normally plays chess when other people are playing checkers, he's kind of playing checkers when he does that stuff at the line there. And I mean, again, you said it before, Jeremy, where they know they're just going to pin their ears back because they basically know the snap count. They go, he's going to run it down the whole time, all the time. And then I swear to God, he wasted at least 1 or 2 because not everybody gets lined up. It's just, that shit's got to stop.
That's frustrating.
And someone of Rodgers' pedigree, football acumen, how long he's been in the league, it baffles me that he continues to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I just had to harp on that.
So do you think that that's just the new normal, or do you think that that's something that could have, is a first game thing that was, it's been that way a little bit, right? But it did seem like it was worse. Like it was always to the end. So maybe he'll get better at it.
I'm going to hope it's just, I mean, he's got a new head coach, new offense, all that. I'm going to hope that is just, like I said, I treated this game from the offensive standpoint as if it was a 5th preseason game because the starting offense never played together. Starting offensive line, starting wide receivers, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's one thing to practice and all that, and I know they say practice makes perfect, but unless the bullets are flying, plus against the number 1 defense in the league, essentially, you got a lot of things working against you. But he's one of the only QBs that consistently does that. And what do they say? Insanity is the definition of doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. He'll run that damn thing down to a 0 or 1, the play clock, and then he'll try and run around and play hero ball. If you're going to do that, you got to have a quick out, man.
Yeah.
And he never has a quick out.
He used to be, he didn't have to wait.
No.
He was extremely quick.
But that was when he did
and random.
I mean, Greg Jennings, James Jones, Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, Jermichael Finley. There has been a talent drain on the wide receiver skill position players on that side of the ball. Let's just be honest. I mean, Devontae's great, but you saw it. They got guys triple covering him. So if other guys aren't getting open, but I mean, every sack he took was on third down again, holding it, too damn long, and just let's just hope that. I know they were trying to get into some play action. They couldn't just because the defense was. I think that's what they desperately want to get into is play action, but you can't. So you gotta do better. Let's hope that improves. I'm gonna watch that to see if he's constantly going down to 0 or 1 going out. So now we're on to, unless you guys have other comments about this particular game, I'm on to other league stuff, and there's a player. You might not have heard about this guy.
Oh my God.
He's a wide receiver, and his name is Antonio Brown. And this past week, more crazy shit happened with that guy than I've ever seen with any player ever. And conspiracy theories are out, and lunacy is in. And let's just run through it real quick. So he goes to the Raiders. He starts acting like a lunatic with the Raiders, gets fined for not showing up to practice, and then ends up with the my nemesis team, the Patriots, where everybody could see it. There was even jokes on the internet. They're like, here's Belichick coming to get, it was like a meme of Belichick walking into a stadium and go, here's Belichick coming to get Antonio Brown for a 7th round pick. Well, he didn't even have to do that. He just picked him up off after they cut him. And even since that's happened, there's like sexual assault allegations against him now that came out today. So who the heck knows? But there's a part of me, I swear to God, when I was actually at the Door County Sentry this past week up in Door County, selling Creature of the Wheel stuff and whatever. And my dad sent me a text. He goes, the Patriots got Antonio Brown. And I'm like, what? And so part of me's going, this practically looks like a damn conspiracy. I don't know. What do you make of it?
It was. They did it on purpose. There's no question.
Well, who's they? The Patriots and Antonio Brown?
Yeah.
So that means there's collusion,
Yep.
and that means there's tampering.
Yep.
And will anything come?
I think they're guilty until proven innocent. Like they there's too much smoke where there's fire with the Patriots, right? With just these little pushing the envelope a little too far, crossing the line.
Well, we all know they're being held accountable.
That's what I mean. Like I think everybody else, the rest of the league, should be assume they're guilty until they could be proven innocent. They have to find some way to prove they're innocent, I think.
Well, I think the rich just get richer. They're not going to be held accountable.
No,
tell me. So
yeah, but I think everybody else shouldn't just let that rest. Like that just.
I think the Patriots are kind of like they're just kind of like, well, we're going to do whatever the hell we want until somebody stops us.
Yeah.
And have you ever seen a coach in a regime like the Patriots and Belichick? They just pull everybody's pants down around the league. These other front offices, they make these other teams do stupid things, and then they come in, swoop in, and get these players for a song and get them to fall in line. And it's like death and taxes. I swear to God.
Well, let's think about this. I mean, let's think about Colin Kaepernick. What if Antonio Brown just kneeled in the sidelines? Where would he be today? Because he's just as of a talented of a player. Obviously, a lot of head issues, but he's had to the point where he forced himself out of Oakland. Now he has sexual assault charges coming against him, it's really funny. They're just civil charges. They're not criminal charges. So,
yeah, what's up with that?
That's when I kind of raised the flag. I'm like, okay, she wants $75,000. That's all she wants. So what is this? Is this just
an opportunist? I mean,
yes.
if it's not criminal, I don't know. I don't think it's fair for anybody to comment on that. It's just weird timing, right? Like that's
Well, his whole existence right now is weird timing.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
You know what I mean?
That's
It's
true.
just like the Raiders, they gifted away this guy. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's,
And then
it's
the
just
fact
so
that
odd.
he makes an Instagram story out of all of this. He makes an Instagram story
He
out of the
recorded that
call with
call
John
from-
Gruden
He recorded. He didn't tell
Yeah.
him. Apparently,
and
that's
how he's a
in
misunderstood guy.
California. Or wait, are the Raiders in Vegas now?
No,
Or are they in
they're-
California?
but still, next
So
year,
that's illegal. Like to not inform the other
Yeah.
party
Yeah.
that you're.
Gruden
Right.
could have pressed charges. He said he
Yes.
was going to. Yeah.
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 God.
That's for real. I mean, you know what? When I hit record on this call, it says make sure to inform the other people on the call that you're recording. So you
You're
guys are being
recording
recorded
this?
right now. Yeah.
You didn't even. Oh Jesus! I thought it was just yapping
True.
here to my screen.
Yeah. I mean, so the legalities on recording things are pretty clear.
But I mean, I don't know. And I'll tell you what. The Patriots played the Steelers, and Jesus Christ, did they pull their pants down on national television? Beat them 33-3. The Patriots are frickin' loaded without Antonio Brown. I don't know. Look,
Do we have to talk about Antonio Brown? I can't stand the guy.
Yeah, I tend to agree. That was just such an odd story
Yeah.
that, and I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I'm going, there's a freaking conspiracy here. So I don't know. But yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Well, I did make the comment, speaking of the Patriots, they're loaded. Look, I mean, crazy. I didn't watch much of that game, but from what I did see, they got Josh Gordon. They're talking Gronk might come out of retirement. They traded Demaryius Thomas to the Jets. They're thinking that might have opened up a spot to bring Gronk. They're freaking, I mean, again, I don't know.
Well, they traded Demaryius Thomas to create the roster spot for Antonio Brown, but also Demaryius Thomas is coming back from a torn Achilles, so he's not 100%. So the Jets are probably not going to get a healthy Demaryius Thomas for weeks now, and neither will the Patriots. So
why would you ever make a trade with the Patriots? Because if you are the team that's making a trade with them, you're getting your ass handed to you in some regard.
And they got a 6th-round draft pick in return for a guy who's pretty much, injured, an injured player. I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, they are, and look at the division they play in. They play the Bills, they're playing the Dolphins.
I know.
I saw the Patriots are favored by 18.5 on the road against.
Oh my God. Second game of the year.
And did you hear that? Like, I don't know if it was on Deadspin or something, but like after that, the Dolphins got beat like 59-10, and like after that game, they were saying like half the players on the team called their agents like, "I want out of here. I want to get traded."
They want to do an Antonio Brown.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but if you play the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins every year, you probably should. You're like 8-0 before the season starts.
Right.
It's honestly you're 6-0. Legitimately, you're 6-0 in your division. You have 6 victories. All you gotta do is maybe get another 4, maybe 5, and then you're in the running for at least one of the top 2 seeds.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's pretty pathetic how bad that division is outside of the Patriots. Now again, the Patriots, then they have to go through, they've proven they can still beat other, teams and whatever, but still, it's like that division's trash. That's what I'm saying. Consistently trash. So enough about the goddamn Patriots. Hate them.
Absolute Patriot podcast.
I know. I need to stop that. I put here, the Dolphins are terrible. They got beat 59-10. Half the players requested. Okay, we already talked about that. So this is the league stuff bullet I have here. All right, so now on to the Vikings, which is going to be the next opponent at home. I didn't watch the Viking game, but I followed some of it on Twitter, and it sounds like they look pretty good.
They looked really good,
especially
all the way around.
Well, I did hear that the Falcons turned the ball over like 3 times, so that score was a bit because of Matt Ryan.
But the fact that Kirk Cousins only passed the ball 10 times and they pretty much beat Atlanta to a pulp.
But they,
Right.
did they turn those 3 turnovers? Those 3 turnovers probably is what I'm saying. It's a little.
I don't know.
I hear it. So I mean, the Vikings.
If you get 3 turnovers, how much of that do you attribute to the offense, and how much do you attribute to the the other team's defense? Though, I mean, some of that is the Vikings being good.
Yeah, and I mean with the Falcons, apparently they played a bunch of their starters in the preseason, but it didn't mean shit because they looked like they didn't even get off the bus. So this, I mean, all indications are this should be a pretty good game. This is going to be a real test for, I think another real good test for our defense. And man, I don't know how good the Vikings defense really is. I got to admit, they're not the Bears, but they're pretty good.
Top 5.
I would love to see. You think so?
You think they're top 5, really? It's hard to it's.
So you're saying we could have 3 of the top whatever defenses in one division in the NFL?
Very well could be.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm withholding judgment on the Vikings and the Packers defense for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been so long since we've had a good defense. It's like one game, you're like,
right.
Okay, but all indications are, the defense looks pretty damn good. So here's a question for you. I mean, what are you expecting from the offense this coming game?
For the Packers?
How about expectation versus reality? Yes. Offense.
Expectation, I expect obviously at least 20 points. Reality, it'll probably be under 20 points. And not so much because the Packers are rusty, but the Minnesota has a good defense. They had one really bad game in their last 2 years, and that was the NFC Championship at Philadelphia, where they just got obliterated by Philly. But other than that, their defense is top notch. They're not as good as the Bears. But I would say overall their defense is better than ours at this point, because they've proven it, more than one game. To me, the game's going to come down to, the which offense can actually run the ball and which quarterback can be the most successful against a good opposing defense. And obviously I think Aaron Rodgers is better than Kirk Cousins, but how much? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, I hate
be
to
another
say
close
it,
one.
Aaron Rodgers is in a prove-it mode right now.
You're right. I think he is.
He is.
There's a lot of question marks there. When you watch NFL, I watch NFL Network all the time. They just had the top 10 quarterbacks in the whole league right now, and they had Aaron Rodgers as number 10. Since when has he been?
Oh my God.
Below number 3?
Statistics can often lie, but look, I mean, going in, I would say the past few years with Rodgers, it's like going into a game, I'm like, okay, he might throw a couple touchdowns and pass for 250 yards, which is not very good, relatively speaking. It used to be he's going to throw for at least 3 touchdowns, at least 300 yards, and yada, yada. But now it's like my expectations with him are maybe 1 or 2 TDs, maybe, 1.5 touchdowns, we'll say passing, and between 200 and 250 yards. Got to get off the schneid, man. If he's, I don't know, but that's.
Honestly, I think Minnesota, they're most vulnerable on their offensive line. They try to improve that this offseason. They drafted a center, but they're vulnerable all across the line. So if there's a line that's probably the weakest of the bunch in this game, it's probably Minnesota's, and that's where you can obviously attack Minnesota and get them out of rhythm and hopefully counter their running game, which was pretty damn solid last game. So are they beatable on the offensive line? Attack the hell out of the offensive line because they have holes from left to right.
And the way we got pressure with our other guys before, you'd figure that we're in good shape for that. Going back to Rodgers and the offense, one thing I'm just waiting for, and maybe it's never going to happen, even with LaFleur and his offense. I mean, I know it's early, but rhythm passing, 3-step, 5-step drop. When a blitz comes, hot read. Are we ever going to see this? Because I'm trying to think of the last time he did a 3-step boom, or damn near even a 5-step boom.
A 3-step, 5-step slant route that was open. Like I don't remember the last time it's
guys getting open, because look, they don't have a lot of speed on wide receiver. They don't. They got Devontae Adams, but he's going to get. It's going to be. They're going to just cover the shit out of Devontae Adams and dare other guys to beat him, right? And that'll include Aaron Jones. So if they can get Aaron Jones going humongous, that will be huge. You would think, because they can play action, and then they can even maybe introduce him into the passing game, which I thought they might do in the first game. But I'm just waiting for Rodgers to get into a rhythm. And they kind of did in the Bear game for like that 1.5 series.
For 2 drives, they were actually in
and they
the
looked
first
like
drive they scored a
were
touchdown.
kind of running a hurry up offense.
Yeah.
When they're going up to the line and they're huddling and doing all this stuff and running the play clock way down. I don't know. But again, a new system, like I said, I'll give them 4 games, but we're 1 game down and I wasn't very impressed with that. So you'd like to think that, man, and they're pretty healthy. There really weren't any injuries to speak of, major injuries. So, man, I'm just waiting for the offense to start breaking out. And maybe I'm not, it's wishful thinking because it's a brand new offensive, scheme and all that, and they didn't play in the preseason, so maybe, but I don't know.
I think it's there. I mean, even when the Bears got a lot of pressure on Rodgers and sacked him, there were receivers open. So
he's still going back to his old shit then, is what you're saying. If there's receivers open, he's getting sacked. That means he's not pulling the trigger.
No, I'm speaking intense, immediate pressure where he didn't have a chance to see receivers. Okay. Not like last year where he was, looking for the moon stars. But I mean, they were on his 5 sacks this game. I would say out of 3 of those sacks that I can remember, there was at least one receiver, whether it was the check down to Aaron Jones or Jamal Williams or Jimmy Graham or Robert Tonyan, who had a pretty good game. Somebody was open.
Big Bob Tonyan, as Nagler.
He's actually their best receiving tight end. I mean, there's no question about it. He is their best receiver in tight end position.
That's sad. I'm sorry.
It is, but it is what it is.
Well, we got to do better. I mean, they got it. Look, somebody was talking to with Gutekunst. I mean, he was obviously, I think he was vindicated for what he did on the defensive spending so far. But on offense, I mean, in this offseason, they got to load up on talent and speed on that offense. They did it on defense, without question. Offense, they added Sternberger and Billy Turner. Sternberger, you know what I mean? It's like give the offense, give them some actual weapons. I'm a little surprised they didn't trade for or find a veteran wide receiver. I don't know, but.
So I have a question, Jeremy. You said that there was a top 10 list from NFL Network of quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Do you have that somewhere? Because I wanted to put the link in the notes, and all I see is this Kurt Warner one from July, and he has Rodgers at number 4.
No, it was on their show, Good Morning Football this morning.
Yeah. So who was saying it though?
Kay Adams.
Yeah. I mean, so that's just like one person's opinion, though, right? I mean, other people are.
But I mean, from week 1,
I don't know that I would say number 4, but I also don't know that I would say number 10.
Well, I'm gonna show.
That's all.
What I got and what I look at, it's the eye test, man.
Yeah.
He's had a drop off. Mm-hmm. Period. Now. McCarthy's, archaic offense didn't do him any favors, and he had a drop in talent too. But so there's extenuating circumstances, if you will, and you got a new system in and all that. But at the same time, he's being paid as an elite quarterback. He has been an elite quarterback, and we're seeing a lot of. I'm just not seeing anything to go. Okay, now it's gonna finally jump the chasm, and we're waiting for it, and I don't know. Then there's old habits. And a lot of habits that seem to be increasing rather than decreasing. The lack of stepping into the throw, the poor footwork, the running the clock down all the way, the holding the ball and looking for the home. I mean, that stuff, got to undo that. And part of me thinks that, maybe in his head, he still thinks, I can play like I'm 25. You can't. Now, I will say this. He looked so happy after the game when he said, we got a defense. He had like a twinkle in his eye, being like, wow, this is great, And that was pretty cool to see, actually, because he hadn't had one since Super Bowl year, basically.
No, right.
I got 10 years, right? So the fact that that he knows that maybe he truly has to, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, but he truly does have to adjust his game, and he's trying to figure that. And I mean, like, he might have gone from elite to above average.
Well,
overnight.
So as I'm looking for that list, the headline in the list of headlines from today, I guess Rodgers said that my only ask is that we don't do the wave when we're on offense.
How
this
about
is like NFL wide news.
Yeah,
like,
and how about don't play roll out the barrel or I bang on the drum? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And people, all these are traditions of Lambeau. I'm like, well, you need to tear those damn traditions up and start some new ones because, good Lord.
Yeah, you're never gonna get rid of the barrel, but the Todd Rundgren thing.
Todd Rundgren.
He doesn't get it.
Do you remember?
He was interviewed about it. He's like, yeah, it wasn't even one of my popular songs.
Do you remember G-Force?
No.
Oh, no, that's how bad it was. You don't even remember it. That was like a few years ago that they had that for like one season, the G-Force.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's gotta.
Yeah, that was one and done.
I mean, they gotta do better. I agree. And we need to make it more, when the opposing offense is on the field, that's when you can get loud.
Yeah. And getting back to Rodgers, think about this. I mean, how much pressure the man has been through for roughly just over a decade, where he has realized that he has had to carry this team on his back, his shoulders, like a.
That's a good point.
And now
his broken shoulders.
Yeah,
right.
Both. He broke one and then broke the other.
Exactly. Yeah. And now he actually, does he feel relief that he can go out there and maybe not have a great game like he did last game, and somebody else will pick this team up and win a game for them?
I think maybe he's coming to that conclusion, and it's going to take a while, because he's a competitive as hell. And I mean, he used to be able to do everything and anything, but he's going to be 36. He's not a spring chicken anymore. So that's part of it too. And he's got a lot of injuries there, no doubt. And we know this, he's very risk averse, extremely. And so he was even risk averse when he was in his prime. Mm-hmm. It just looked different because he could make all those, you know what I mean? And now that so he's even more risk averse because he knows, well, I used to be able to make that and it wouldn't be a risk, make that throw. Now I can't even do that anymore because I just know. Yeah, it's interesting.
Even when he runs, he's not as natural and fluid and fast as he used to be. Like whenever he got out of the pocket, I mean, he was, 10 yards. And now it kind of seems like he labors a little bit,
I hear you. And I mean, I think some of that's just we're watching him age and the effect of injuries and all those kinds of things. The other thing that's interesting, and we may never know, but obviously he had that injury to his, what was the injury exactly? It was on his knee, meniscus or something else?
Tibia plateau.
That's right. He had a fracture, for Christ's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did that? And what's weird is, I mean, okay, any other team, if their quarterback suffers that injury, do they shut him down for the season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And the Packers are like, they didn't, and why they didn't is because they knew, they're like, oh boy, if we do that, we might not win a game. And we paid him all this money, I guess, is that too. But it's also like, do you want to protect your investment? I don't know. But so my thing is, how bad was that injury? And is he completely recovered from that? Will he completely recover from that?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, you're 36, you break a bone. Maybe it hurts every step he takes, Who knows?
Kidding.
I'm more concerned with the collarbone from his throwing shoulder. I mean, the knee is obviously going to, play a role in his mobility, but I can see his arm is just not the same as it once was. You mentioned the throw in the Bear game where he threw it to MVS.
That one's a weird one.
He kind of
did
threw
no
it
look it. And
right.
the reason I bring that up is, the way he had to throw that, if he was doing what we think he was doing, because he was planting left and going like that, it had to be all arm. He couldn't step into it. But even without that, to your point, there were some other what's crazy is multiple times a game now, you see him throwing it at people's feet and throwing it in the dirt. You never, ever saw that. And now you're seeing it sometimes multiple times a game, which is like Kirk Cousins-esque.
Well, we're gonna have great weather on Sunday. I think that's what the last forecast I saw. It should be like 70 or something. I think, maybe, I don't know. Maybe that'll change. And he's gonna go out there and he's gonna light it up.
I would love to see a turnaround game and the offense to really come out and,
Yeah.
What I'd really like to see, and I think we will under LaFleur, is I keep going back to it. Aaron Jones in the passing game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That, I'm curious to see that, to see if another tight end, it's going to have to be Tanya, and it won't be Sternberger. And I mean, Jimmy Graham, maybe they'll use him more. I mean, Mercedes Lewis, what's crazy is there was an article I saw with him, and they had to basically, he didn't want anything to do with the team after last year because they didn't use him, And then Gutekunst basically had to kind of, I don't want to say beg and grovel, but they're like, hey, we want you back. And it's like, we really wanted him that bad. We were that hard up for a guy who's, he was great when he was young, but he's an older vet, can't really run anymore. They wanted him back that bad. I just found it kind of odd that they had to kind of, and again, this isn't a knock on him. He's an aging vet, it's like, we had to have Mercedes Lewis back, I mean, and there was a pass they threw to him that he probably should have caught and he dropped. That Rodgers threw his way because and that was what it's like. He put his hands up so late it just bounced off his hands because he couldn't get it up in time. And I think part of it, he was probably like, "Holy shit, they're throwing to me."
Right.
But and maybe the catch, even though it was on a 12-man on the field thing, those things, maybe they'll get him involved more. I don't know how much he truly has left, but I don't know. I'm just kind of, I'm like desperately looking for something on with this offense outside of Devontae Adams and maybe Aaron Jones that they can work with to really light up. What other part outside of Devontae Adams, who and maybe Aaron Jones, who on this offense makes defensive coordinators lose sleep at night?
MVS. Just because his
Mason Crosby.
Oh my God.
Mason Crosby is our.
Do you think they lose sleep over MVS?
Yes, I do. Hey,
Probably.
I mean, he's got deep speed on the 47-yard reception that he had. He beat. I think it was Kyle Fuller that was colored, or Prince Akamura, one of the two. He beat him flat off the line, and he was 2 steps ahead of him.
Yeah.
If Rodgers would have thrown it to him in stride, it should have been a touchdown. So,
and, all the things that you
Trevor
watch,
Davis,
they're watching this stuff too.
Oh yeah.
So like this is like what the chess game of football through the week, right? Mm-hmm. Because the Packers see the things that they could, they're like, oh, I could totally have gotten that, but the Vikings are watching that too. So
I mean, the other teams get paid too. Yeah. Trevor Davis, I'm really intrigued by him because he had a great camp, looks really good as a returner, and he actually made a jump as a receiver, and he's actually a guy who's got speed. Get some speed out there. So I'm curious to see what happens with him too. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know, the offense. I mean, they always say that the defense is always ahead of the offense at this time. I guess league wide, it's the way it is. So it's not like but it's just something weird about having Aaron frickin' Rodgers as your quarterback, and you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just saying we're gonna win by an excellent Mason Crosby field goal. And I actually think that. I think we'll pull out some kind of last minute field goal. We'll win by 3.
When you think about it, this is a huge. We could be 2 up in the division.
Yeah,
2-0, and
it is a home game. I think they're relatively equally matched. I think we win it on a field goal. Totally. It's totally.
I'm going to say I think we win this game, and I'm going to say, if I had to predict, I mean, it's not going to be a blowout by any means, I don't think, but I'm going to say,
I can't see either team blowing.
I'm going to say 27-20.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying.
I just heard 27-20, and I'm like, who?
27-20. A football team will win.
Hey.
Mm-hmm. No, 27-20 Packers. I don't know. I don't know. I'll say 2 touchdowns for Rodgers. but he'll probably. But I think he's going to have
but from Crosby.
19 punts for J.K. Scott with a long of 78. No, but I think it'll be. But I think Rodgers is similar kind of yardage, around 250, 2 touchdowns. Anyway, whatever. I'm not in the
predicting scores is so crazy.
Predicting scores and all that kind of stuff.
Way too many things can happen.
Since you guys predicted the scores, and I have to predict. I was just going to say the Packers were going to win, but
that's basically what I said. I'm not going to predict the score. No.
Well, you guys already did. You guys already did.
I didn't. So... I just said by 3. I didn't pick a score. I don't know. I have no idea what.
All right, he's picking 3-0.
6-0.
It will not be 3. I don't think it'll be 6.
Oh my God, that reminded me of
the
baseball score. Did you hear about Yelich?
Oh, that was
he's out, right?
Heartbreaking.
He's out for the year. It's shattered. He fouled the ball off his kneecap and it shattered his kneecap.
That's just
brutal.
Horrible.
Brutal.
Yeah, that team's had some really shitty luck this year.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Okay, so Packers will win 23-13.
Nice.
Wow. So you guys are predicting a bigger win than I am on this one. That's super weird. I really believe
we're the homers, right?
Yeah, I mean that's I feel like the Vikings are better than the Bears.
As an overall team, you would think, yeah.
I think they just are, and at least at this point, they just seem better. And I still think we can win because it's a home game. But I think like by 3,
Yeah.
It's going to be a really good. I mean, the Vikings can run Dalvin Cook.
Yeah,
they can run the hell out of the ball. This is going to be a really good test for that. I think we could definitely get pressure on the QB, and we have a good. But
they're going to score some. Mm-hmm. There will be some scoring on both sides of the ball. I think. I don't think it's going to be like this defensive battle like last time. And partly because some of the rust is off. So I don't know. I still think it's a win, but it's like by 3 points. So I mean, it's kind of either way.
And this Viking defense is a different team on the grass. They're not as quick on grass, and I think
no doubt.
I think that's where they can be taken
outside on grass. Yeah.
You think does it make that much of a difference for them?
Yeah.
I think I heard you say that before.
Yeah. There's teams that are built for turf. There's teams that are built for grass, and Minnesota's typically been built for fast playing surfaces, especially their defense. So I think that's where the grass really kind of takes some of that team speed away, and makes them a little more vulnerable, I should say.
Yeah. All right. So if we're picking a score, I'm gonna say 17-14.
All right.
Yeah. So write these down so that you can point out how much smarter you are than me next week.
Hey, dude, you were way smarter than any of us because you were like, you know what? You homers wanted to pick Chicago, and look what I did.
Yeah.
And you know what? You did. I mean, you had faith. We didn't have faith, but you did. So.
Well, I mean, and whatever. I mean, any given Sunday, right, or Thursday.
But any given Thursday.
Any given day of the week.
Pretty much, right? What's with the 2 games on Monday night? That was what is happening? And I can't watch them. I can't watch them. I can watch them on my phone.
The NFL, like I said, the NFL. I love football. I tend to hate the NFL.
I agree.
That's a little out of control. Like, really. So in order to watch,
the other thing I meant to bring up,
game, like, come on.
What about this stupid reviewing pass interference? That is so stupid.
Maybe I can kind of see it either way. I think it depends on like how it's going to unfold in practice. We'll see. I don't know.
Andy's just pissed off because LaFleur challenged one and he lost. So
that was so boneheaded.
It was.
But that can happen a lot. Well, and sometimes like a challenge is really just a timeout. So if you're like, well, we need the timeout anyway, and it's questionable, whatever challenge, like whatever. I think it's fine.
I don't know. It's like the game is becoming more and more unwatchable because the flow is horrible. The calls are horrible. They go, you can call holding on any play, and this. Part of me is just like,
Well, do
Just
they?
let 'em-
But they
just let them beat the shit out of each other.
But they don't want to
Just
deal
let them
with.
do it.
They don't want to deal with the following season when a single team season is thrown out because of some bad call. They got to deal with the repercussions of that the whole next year. And so,
And the league took
as long as it didn't happen to my team, I don't care.
Well, it has happened to our team.
It has happened to our team.
I know. I was kidding. Jeez.
So that's where I'm like, I would rather more review than less.
And let's be real, the league and the fans wanted to see the Patriots and the Saints. They didn't want to see the Patriots and the Rams. I mean,
the league and the fans.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't believe the fans wanted to see the damn Patriots.
They wanted well. But I mean, when the Patriots obviously won against Kansas City, who did they want to see in the second game? They wanted to see the Saints. I mean, I did. I wanted to see the Saints.
Right.
I knew they had a better shot.
And then Belichick pulled McVay's pants down on national television. What was the score of that Super Bowl again?
13-3. 3 more than our game. And that was the Super Bowl.
My God.
And then the year before that, it was what, 41-38 Philadelphia over the Patriots, or 41-37.
Yeah. So
go from almost 80 some points to less than 15.
Well, and predictions are always all over the place. I don't know. I definitely don't trust my own predictions, but even when
here's my prediction,
experts predict, right? It's like
pain.
No, what?
That's from frickin' Rocky, the Rocky one with what's his name? Mr. T.
Oh, geez.
Clubber Lang.
Yeah,
prediction.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not old enough to remember the 1980s, old man.
Man, I remember all the throwback stuff, man. Come on now.
Like, wow, that's a deep cut. Yeah. So, the only thing I want to close out with is, you should talk about your art, because that was kick-ass. That was amazing. The giant cheese, the giant boat of cheese.
Okay. So yeah, as you guys know, I've been putting, and fans out there, I've been putting together, Packer, we'll call it, digital device wallpapers or Photoshop images, scenes and whatnot I've been putting together. And the latest one I did was for the Viking game. I'm going to try and do them for put these together, original pieces for just the division games, because they're kind of tedious and meticulous to put together. I mean, they turn out cool, but they are a lot of work. So the latest one I did is available for download too on either if it's on absolutepacker.com, or I have a Google Drive repository for all of them, size for tablets, smartphones, and just like normal for a desktop. But anyway, the latest one I did was basically, I named it Plundered, and it's a
great name. I didn't see the name.
It's the scene is basically, it's an old busted Viking ship that has been smashed by a huge cheesehead. And so there's it's hard to pull that up.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, forget it.
No, you got to check it out. They can see it. We can. Well, you know what? If you're gonna, I can set up the URL in the on the website, and I can put that in the notes. So
yeah, that's fine. I think you set up. I think there's one out there right now. It's just the Bears one. We could put
open season.
We can put all of them out there. I imagine on APP, but if not, they're available on a Google Drive link too. But they're fun, and I like to put an element of humor. But they look very, they're kind of what's the word, like fantastical, if you will, and I make them look dramatic.
No,
but
they're amazing, and you know what? I see the people who are like making it as their wallpaper on Facebook, and they're cool, and people love them, and especially like getting amped up for a game.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a Packer fan in Minnesota, you should be putting that everywhere. You should be printing it out and putting it on your car.
The best part about this one is it has a big Viking horn. It's like it's huge.
It's broken, right?
It's broken on the ground.
No, it's not broken. It's just sitting on the ground, but there's a cork in it.
Oh, there is.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I thought it was broken too, but
it's plugged up. It's plugged up.
Epic.
Yeah. I like this one. I try to outdo myself each time. But anyway, yeah. So I appreciate that.
All right, 17-14. Go Pack, go. That's
27-20. Go Pack Go.
23-13. Go Pack Go.
Awesome.
Podcast.
Chair. I know, right?